Welcome in 49ers faithful. Welcome in 49ers fans. I'm sure many of you saw the breaking news that Jimmy Garoppolo in that Tennessee Titans game on Thursday Night Football suffered a torn UCL in his right thumb along with a partial fracture. Obviously, not good news, maybe good news. Depends on what side of the coin, what side of the controversy you stand on. Jose, when you first heard this one, what were your initial thoughts?
Honestly, I was a little bit surprised. I'd never, at any point during Thursday's game, I felt like he was injured. So it came as a surprise to me. Maybe that explains some of the errant throws that we saw later on in the game from him. I was pretty surprised. But the first thing that popped into my head whenever we finally found out what was the main thing that was wrong with him is, are we going to see Trey Lance? Right now, it's not looking good with this diagnosis here for Jimmy Garoppolo for him to start the game on Sunday. We have the Houston Texans on deck. A pretty big game for us for playoff standing positions. That was my main thing was, are we finally going to see Trey Lance again after we saw him against the first game in Arizona? You know, what do you think? What do you think we're going to see on Sunday? Do you, by any chance, have a little angle that you think we're going to see here?
Well, here's the tough thing about this. So if Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy enough to play, like what does that mean? What percentage does he need to be at to be able to consider healthy enough to play? Because we've seen hand injuries have varying degrees of impact on a quarterback stat line. Obviously, the big one on this season is Russell Wilson with his mallet finger that he had at one point during the year. And Russell Wilson, we already know how good of a quarterback he is. Hall of Fame level talent. And if you look at the games after he came back from that injury, again, I can't say how much the thumb impacted him. I can't tell how much the finger impacted him. But what I can say is that Russell Wilson in those 3 games coming back from the injury was not good until he got a chance to face us, of course. And then he just started balling out because that's just what Russell Wilson does against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, here's the thing for Jimmy. Jimmy's almost in this unfair, compromising position that if he is perceived to be in a situation where he can go, then there's going to be fans that want him to go. And if he goes out there and plays bad, then that will be loads of ammunition for people that are already against Jimmy Garoppolo to utilize on Twitter. And if he goes out there and plays good, then the people that are just like, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo is just really hamming up this injury to excuse his bad performance on Thursday night. So it's really a no-win situation for Jimmy Garoppolo either way. And again, I got to nail this point home. You know, like we've been definitely on the side of Jimmy Garoppolo supporters throughout the entirety of the show ever since we started up like last season. And obviously we come from the standpoint of we're the generation of Niners fans that didn't get to see Montana Young. We're the generation of Niners fans that best thing we had was Jeff Garcia, Kaepernick for a year in the last season of Alex Smith. So Jimmy Garoppolo to us was somewhat of a godsend. And I think for Jimmy, I don't know what's next for him, but I wish him the best. Is if Trey Lance does play against the Houston Texans, was last Thursday night Jimmy Garoppolo's last game as a San Francisco 49er?
I don't think it is, man. I really do think that Kyle Shanahan believes that their best chance of winning football games and making a deep playoff run is with the guy that he's done it with before, just 2 seasons ago. I really do think Jimmy is his guy. He's going to ride Jimmy until Jimmy's no longer on the team. I really do believe so.
But he comes in, he plays well, he balls out against the Houston Texans. Does that mean anything?
It'll mean something to most fans, most 49er fans who want Trey Lance to be the starter. I think that's the only people it'll really mean a lot to. I think Kyle Shanahan will look at that Houston game and say, hey, we should win this game regardless of who's at quarterback. We should win this game. And going into week 18 against the Rams, he's going to look at who is going to give you the best chance of winning. Well, you have a guy that kind of has the Rams number already on your team, and that's Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that's going to be his thinking. I don't think he's just going to throw Jimmy Garoppolo out of the way here. And that at this crucial point of the season when, hey, say what you want to say, the 8 wins that we have this year, they were all starts by Jimmy Garoppolo. So he got us those wins. And I think Kyle Shanahan and the rest of that coaching staff and even John Lynch know that. And I don't think they're the type that they're just going to throw away his last couple of games that he has with us just because Trey Lance had a good game against the Houston Texans.
But what if this happens? What if Trey Lance comes in, has a good game, they win, and then they get blessed by the football gods and they just happen to lock up that playoff spot? What do you do in week 18 against the Rams there?
I think if that were to happen, you have to kind of check on the status of Jimmy Garoppolo. If Jimmy Garoppolo is not close to 100% still by week 18, you have no other choice than to really put Trey Lance, because there might be a chance that that game for the Rams might not even mean anything either. If they win next week and the Cardinals lose next week to the Cowboys, the Rams lock up the division. So there could be a scenario where our week 18 game against the Rams might just be a meaningless game. And if that is the case, then you have to throw Trey Lance out there. And then now we're going to have a whole nother week leading into the playoffs, wondering who's going to be our quarterback going into that wild card round.
I think the one thing that would set off potential red flags, and we saw the situation play out last year with the Rams and John Wolford and Jared Goff, was if Jimmy Garoppolo is in uniform this Sunday, but not starting. Who's our third stringer? Sudfeld at this point. Mm-hmm. Best thing for Jimmy Garoppolo's image in terms of like this injury is if he's not starting, he should not be in uniform. He cannot have a situation where he's a emergency replacement with the thumb injury, because that's probably going to look like a worse look either way. And there's just going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, of course, Mr. Glass got hurt again. It's football. Injuries happen. And again, we've seen the hand injuries in particular this year really affect quarterbacks. So we saw it with Trey Lance at the start of the season. And that's why I'm kind of like looking at this one. I'm like, this is going to be a more precautious take by Kyle Shanahan and Niners, because we saw a hesitancy to put in Lance whenever he was dealing with his finger injury early on the season himself. And when I hear tear and fracture, that's not a combination to start in 4 or 5 days. That just doesn't sound like that really adds up to me in terms of timeline. If it was just one thing or the other, I think a lot of people will just dismiss tear and fracture and just think, Jimmy has a boo-boo. Jimmy bumped his thumb. Listen, if the team is ruling him out, if Jimmy's ruling out, Jimmy wants to start these last couple games. Jimmy wants to be out there with the team because Jimmy wants to set up his best case scenario for next year whenever he's looking for his new team. Because again, I like the guy. I know for a fact he's not going to be on this team next year, and nor should he be, because we did draft Trey Lance, and Trey Lance is the future. I agree with that. I'm fine with that. I just was willing to let Jimmy Garoppolo play out the season, allow Trey Lance to develop on the bench, see what added value that Jimmy Garoppolo could add to his trade value, because there's some that will say, oh, is Jimmy's trade value dead? No, I saw Baker Mayfield play this past weekend. I know there's teams that could use a Jimmy Garoppolo. I know that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be in the market. I know that the New Orleans Saints, speaking of games recently, the New Orleans Saints, who had to start Ian Book tonight, would be interested in a Jimmy Garoppolo. There is a market out there. We can find someone, and there's going to be someone willing to overpay. Sam Darnold went for multiple picks, guys. Sam Darnold went for multiple picks. That's all you need to know about the NFL trade market. But anyway, regardless, Niners faithful, Niners fans, let us know your thoughts on this injury, how it affects Jimmy, how it affects the team. What do you think our chances are against Houston with a rookie under center? Drop below in the comments below. We want to know. Leave a like in this video. Helps us get out there to more Niners fans, Niners faithful like you. Juju Talk Sports, Jose Corral. There are 49 reasons to listen and 2 right here. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we will see you next time.